In 2020, Kamala Harris was running for president. Nobody voted for her to amass any delegates for the convention. Now, 4 years later, it looks like she's going to be the presidential nominee. And guess what? No delegates have voted for her to be the nominee. We're going to show you what ended her 2020 campaign. At the 2020 race, Kamala Harris ran for president, you might remember, and she dropped out because she wasn't getting any support from fellow Democrats. And they say she was basically in last place. What knocked her out, according to most press reports at the time, was this debate interaction between her and Tulsi Gabbard. I pulled that video.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way. The bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not. And worse yet, in the case of those who were on death row, innocent people, you actually blocked evidence from being revealed that would have freed them until you were forced to do so. There is no excuse for that. And the people who suffered under your reign as prosecutor, you owe them an apology.
When Senator Harris was the Attorney General for 8 years in the state of California, there were two of the most segregated school districts in the country, in Los Angeles and in San Francisco. And she did not, I didn't see a single solitary time she brought a case against them to desegregate them. Secondly, she also was in a situation where she had a police department when she was there that in fact was abusing people's rights. And the fact was that she, in fact, was told by her own people, that her own staff, that she should do something about and disclose to defense attorneys like me that you, in fact, have been, the police officer did something that did not give you information that would exculpate your client. She didn't do that. She never did it. And so what happened? Along came a federal judge and said, enough, and he freed 1,000 of these people. If you doubt me, Google 1,000 prisoners freed, Kamala Harris.
After the debate, she quit, and she had 0 delegates. It's funny how history repeats itself. She's now, for all intents and purposes, going to be the Democrat nominee with 0 delegates voting for her. Now,
actually, is it 0 delegates still? Because I know Chuck Schumer came out and was saying that the delegates.
They're endorsing her. They're saying they're going to pledge to her, but she hasn't received the vote of a single delegate.
Right, that comes in the DNC, correct?
They're going to give her the delegates. She never campaigned. She was never on the ballot. She never made a campaign speech. Nobody ever voted for her. In 2020, she campaigned like a maniac, and nobody voted for her.
Yeah.
And when she quit, she didn't have to release any delegates because she didn't have any. So now she's back.
Yeah.
And they gave it to her.
Yeah.
She was not.
You ever see House of Cards?
A few times, yeah.
The series House of Cards. Do you remember what happened in season 2 at the last episode?
No.
Kevin Spacey, he became president without a single vote. And that's when he was standing in front of the camera and he with his ring. Same thing. He became president without a single vote being cast for him. Kind of sound familiar to you?
Yeah.
Just a little.
Just like now,
Same
baby.
Thing. No votes at all. No one voted for her. No one voted for her. Whether the rumor is that, well, when Joe Biden was out there campaign trail and doing a primary, and we got 14 million people to vote for Kamala Harris, or for Joe Biden, that's when everybody was supporting Kamala Harris. So let me help me understand, Barry, because in some states right now, it is too late to go back and change the name that's going to show up on the ballot. So does this mean that when we go into November and they cast a vote for Joe Biden, are they just going to say, well, it's Joe Biden's name, but we're just going to go ahead and transition that vote to Kamala Harris? So if that's the case,
it depends on the state. And you're right. It's a very smart comment you're making. There are state laws that have dates on the calendar in concrete.
Right.
And if you're not on the ballot by that date, you're not going to be in November on the ballot.
So
now
if they transfer,
the secretaries of states in some of these cases in blue states are going to sue.
They have to
force her to get on the ballot.
Oh, they're going to sue to force it. Yeah,
they're going to.
But the only time they can do that, based to my understanding, based on the Constitution, is if the president, actually passes away. That's not the case here. And Joe Biden can't just simply step down, because if he just simply stepped down, they're going to ask, what is the reason? Are you losing your mind? Who's running the country right now? Who's in charge? Who's making decisions? Who's in the background doing what? That would bring up another can of worms. So my question again, my second part to that question. So if they vote for Joe Biden and they say, well, we know that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris would have been attached to it, so we're just going to transfer these votes to Kamala Harris. What's to stop them saying, well, they didn't understand who they were voting for when they pulled the lever for Trump? We're just going to go ahead and transfer these over to Kamala Harris. I'm just asking the question here. If her name is legally not Joseph R. Biden, it is not.
We know that.
It is not. Legally, it's not. So when this document, you pull the lever for this document, because this is a legal document. That ballot is a legal document. And if someone go in and they put Joseph Biden on there, it doesn't say Kamala Harris. So you cannot, you cannot give it to her.
You're right. Nobody knows. This has never happened before. Your head's going to explode. Calm down. I agree with you.
I'm not saying you don't. I'm not saying you disagree with me. It's just
how are they going to pull it off? What are they going to do? They don't seem to be nervous about it, right?
No, they don't. No, they don't.
A minute ago, you talked about House of Cards. There was another show